Welcome to the 10th Annual Women in Business Celebration. My name is Sam Wender, publisher of 914 Inc. magazine. Congratulations to all this year's honorees. We're now pleased to share a message from our county executive, George Latimer.
I am George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, and I want to join my voice with all of those that are recognizing the honorees at this year's virtual gala for 914 Inc. Obviously, the COVID virus has us doing this virtually rather than in person. We hope next year we'll be up close and personal and be able to enjoy each other's company. But the Women in Business Awards are very significant recognition for women who've accomplished a great deal of things very positively here in Westchester County. In one of the most recent editions of the publication, we saw three of our top executives, Joan McDonald, our Director of Operations, Catherine Chaffee, our Director of Communications, and Emily Saltzman, our Deputy Director of Operations, all being honored, along with so many other outstanding women. So congratulations for your great accomplishments. Congratulations for 914 Inc. in having this virtual gala. We'll see you again next year, live and in person.
Thank you so much, George. I would now like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Our gold sponsors, the Westchester Bank, White Plains Hospital, and here's a brief message from them.
I want to congratulate Leanne on this amazing award, which is clearly a recognition of her dedication to patient care in the Westchester community.
I can't say enough positive things about Leanne. We've all learned so much from her watching her lead this organization.
No one is more deserving of this award. She's built her career as a clinical nurse and now risen as the Senior Vice President of Patient Care Services and CNO. It's such an honor to be working for her.
Her leadership, enthusiasm, innovation, and commitment to patient safety and quality has helped the organization achieve and maintain magnet status.
Leanne has been the heart of this organization's commitment to providing safe, quality health care to Westchester County.
Leanne has been a tireless advocate for her nursing staff. She set the standards high for nursing care at White Plains Hospital.
Congratulations to all the nominees.
A thank you to our bronze sponsors, Cabot Creamery, Caremount Medical, the Mental Health Association of Westchester, Regeneron, and Robeson Oil. And now a thank you to our event sponsors, California Closets, Leros Point to Point, Professional Women of Westchester, Westchester County Government, Westchester Talk Radio, and Yankwit LLP. And thank you to our gift bag sponsor, New York Medical College, and our video sponsor, Enormous Creative. Please don't forget to visit all of our sponsors after today's event. It's now my pleasure to introduce Amy Partridge, Executive Editor of 914 Inc., to introduce our keynote speaker and announce this year's honorees. We look forward to seeing everybody in person next year. Thank you for attending today's virtual event.
Good afternoon and welcome. While we are typically celebrating our Women in Business honorees at a sold-out in-person luncheon in a room buzzing with the excitement of having so many incredible, accomplished females in one place, I'm no less thrilled this year for our virtual event to honor the 18 women we have selected for our 2020 Women in Business Awards. They include senior executives at some of our largest corporations, the leaders of some of our most important nonprofit organizations, and the innovators behind some of our most exciting entrepreneurial ventures. This is our 10th year of doing the Women in Business Awards. Over the past decade, we have continued to raise the bar with our honorees, and we have developed our brand to a point where being named one of the 914 Inc. Women in Business honorees is truly a watershed moment in the career of Westchester's top businesswomen. We are very proud to continue this tradition this year. Before we meet this year's crop of honorees, I'm excited to present our keynote speaker, Emmy Award-winning broadcast professional and co-host of NBC's New York Live, Sarah Gore. Airing weekdays at 11:30 a.m., Gore and co-host Jackie Reed serve up a daily dose of the very best New York has to offer, from the latest fashion trends to celebrity news and interviews, top food and restaurant choices, and entertainment. In addition to her work on New York Live and sister station NBC 10 Boston's The Hub Today, Gore is the host of the nationally syndicated real estate and design show Open House. Produced by NBC's independent production arm, LXTV, the weekly series airs on NBC-owned stations across the country and takes viewers into the country's most lavish homes. Gore also serves as host for NBC's First Look live on the red carpet specials for the Golden Globes, Primetime Emmy Awards, and for other live specials produced for LXTV. Over the past decade, she has logged over 3,000 hours of live and taped television through her combined work for NBC4 New York, NBC10 Boston, and LXTV. Originally from upstate New York, Gore graduated summa cum laude from Marymount Manhattan College as a communications major and business theater minor. She currently resides with her family in Westchester County.
Thank you, Amy, and welcome everyone. It is such an honor to be your keynote speaker tonight. I was humbled and actually very flattered to be invited to be a part of this evening's event, to be in the company of such worthy honorees and diverse honorees, from scientists to CEOs who are surely all smarter than me. Case in point, I am not going to pretend to know everything about how to be successful in every industry. But something we all know, regardless of our different industries, is how essential it is to support women in every business. Because I am usually scripted, that part of my job is reading other people's words, I took great care to speak from my heart, to tell you about my story, my path, a little bit about my story, and hopefully show you that it's not really about the industry, it's about the person. It's about how you navigate your career choices and choose your own path, as well as all the risks, the rewards, the highs, and unfortunate lows that come with it. And it's those lows that you have to embrace, because that's where you grow the most. You know, I was asked to do this tonight for Westchester Magazine, and my first instinct was to respond with yes, and. Yes, and when do you need it? Yes, and who will I be speaking to? It's more than an answer, perhaps less than a mantra. It's simply what I am ready to make happen when opportunity presents itself. But more on the origin of yes and later. From finding ways to persevere even when circumstances or people try to hold you back, to learning to take every opportunity that comes your way because you just never know where it's going to go. You have to allow your passions to lead you, because if you don't lead your career and your life with passion, it's very hard to find success. Wow, what a year it's been, right? Coming to you from my home instead of physically being with all of you exemplifies what this year has looked like for all of us. We have all been dealt a serious blow, some worse than others. We have seen social unrest, racial injustice, watched families suffer from this global pandemic, and have experienced a great deal of pain and fear. We've learned to be teachers, very challenging. We have learned to be stay-at-home working parents. We've been introduced to new realities, but there have been blessings too. This time has allowed us to take stock, spend some time with our family, get back to simpler things, right? It's also allowed us to see what we are capable of, to find solutions to things we never thought we would even be faced with, to think outside the box and really get creative in our work life, in our home life. Some of you may be changing fields willingly or unwillingly, but with great change comes renewal. And after the year we've had, I don't know about you, but renewal sounds like a pretty welcoming option, doesn't it? Let me tell you, I love what I do. I am grateful that every day I get to do a job that keeps me continually inspired. I've had some truly enlightening experiences along the way. I know it just sounds like a lot of fun, from hosting live red carpet shows at the Golden Globes, which is pretty amazing, and interviewing the biggest names in the industry, to racing classic cars in the streets of Manhattan, and just getting to experience the best the city has to offer. But make no mistake, it is still a job, and it takes a lot of work. Needing to show up on time or before I'm expected and always be prepared, that's a given. What's not always a given is having respect for yourself, but also about respecting your colleagues and their time. But most importantly, it's not about showing up physically as much as it's about showing up mentally. Whether you are in front of a camera, like I am, or in front of your team members at the office, at a cocktail party, at a networking event, which you should do as many as possible, you need to be on. I am on at work. It's exhausting. I am on at home. It is exhausting. And we all needed to be on. Well, on a whole new level this year. Trying to be an audio and video technician, a hair and makeup artist, a stylist, a cook, which I'm used to, and a host on top of needing to make sure my kids are on their correct classes on Zoom and actually learning something and getting the right nutrition and getting the right exercise and arts and culture. I was like, wow, overload. I felt like Rosie from the Jetsons when she had too much on her plate and she would just like steam would come out of her head. That's what I felt like. Because being a woman and being a woman in business is not easy. It's not easy. You're going to face challenges. You will be expected to prove yourself more than a male counterpart. It has happened to me for sure. And if you're anything like me, at times you will feel overwhelmed or emotional, and that is okay. Just try to do it alone in your bedroom with a piece of hummingbird cake from Magnolia Bakery, because that is my weakness. Just going to say it. That is my weakness. But here's what's important. It's how you handle those challenges that will decide your fate. When I was starting out in this business, I needed a mentor. I needed feedback. I wanted guidance and reassurance. I did not get that. There is a chance you won't either. I got the opposite. I had executive producers, co-hosts, colleagues that did everything in their power to hold me back. I was for sure bullied on a daily basis. You know, sometimes individuals in positions of power just don't know how to manage people. I was threatened for going on my first vacation in 4 years. Told I would be replaced if I took time off. I was told to go home because someone else was going to do my job that day. I was belittled, laughed at, sworn at, spoken poorly about to many other places, but to the Today Show in particular, which I think inevitably affected the trajectory of my career, which was rough to hear those things. And I hit a point where I just thought, I can't do this anymore. For my mental well-being, I have to move on. But instead of letting someone else get the best of me, I decided, you know what? It's just easier to leave and it's harder to stay. So I stayed. New York Live was moving to a new time slot and they were going to be letting someone go. I had been there since day one, but they met with each one of us and basically wanted us to sell ourselves on why we should still be there. At that point, I had nothing to lose. I had already contemplated leaving the show. I was completely honest. I said, I come to this job and I give 110% every day. I'm loyal. I've been a team player. Love what I do. I rise to the challenges I am given. And if you don't feel that I'm the right person to continue on this show, that is 110% okay with me too. That is your call. I don't think I've ever been more calm or confident in a situation under those circumstances where my future was in question. I said it hadn't been a very collaborative, positive experience as of late, and I was okay to leave. So then he asked me if the people in question were not invited back, would you want to stay? I said, yes. I'm still here. You got to be honest. You got to stand your ground. It was the worst part about all of that was it was the women who hurt me the most. It's so important for women to support women. We hear it all the time. I think some people say it just to say it. I don't know, because it's still happening. We need to support each other. I'm the youngest of 3 girls. I come from an inherited female support group. Having been on the other side of that, I know the significance. We are stronger in numbers. Let's always, always lift each other up, not only in life, but in business. You know, but with the lows comes the highs, you know, you got to have highs too. And let me tell you about that. I grew up loving to cook. I've cooked since I was 10. My mother is an excellent cook. And as the youngest of 3 girls, I was pretty much glued to her side. That's just the way it goes. It's something we still do to this day. We are the party throwers. We are the cooks, the hosts. You get the picture. I also loved acting. I was an extremely shy child. I know that's very hard to accept now. It seems like I was never a shy person, but acting actually helped me come out of my shell. I studied it for many years. I was a communications major in college with a media studies concentration and a business and theater minor. Luckily, all those things come into play into what I'm doing today because I followed my passions. I was interested in all those things, and I thought, let me learn more about all those, because ultimately I'm going to bring all these branches together and form my tree. I was cooking when I wasn't acting, so I cooked a lot. I was living in New York City, and I went from being a personal chef to doing an off-Broadway play, then went back to work in a kitchen, and I cooked for Jean-Georges, one of the most successful chefs in the world, and I learned more there in that year than I had my whole cooking career. But it is not easy work. You don't hardly get paid a thing, but I loved it. I think I might have gotten like $9 an hour. You know, I left there, which was very bittersweet, to do an off-Broadway play this time. And it's there that I met a hosting agent who thought, you know, you could be a great host with like a food-centric goal. Well, I found my new passion. I said yes to everything because I never knew which door would open when I took a chance. I had done a handful of things. I did a Food Network pilot, a cooking series for General Mills in Minnesota in the middle of winter, which was not easy. I had become a food columnist, and I had never been a writer, but of course I said yes, and where do you need me? When I finally met with a new startup called Code TV. They were starting a lifestyle broadband network. This was a new concept to me. I was like, so this is just going to be on the internet? So this is before just being on the internet was a thing. It was unheard of. It was a concept I was having a hard time grasping. I thought, I don't know if this is worth it. I had left New York City at that point. I had headed upstate for a few months to kind of just get my head together. I was in between things. I had the audition, and the casting agent said, I know I'm definitely going to want to call you back. And I know you drove down here. So why don't you just go somewhere for an hour, write up a restaurant piece, memorize it, and come back for your callback. So I went down in Soho to Mercer Kitchen and consulted with my former and very trusted head chef. I sat in the kitchen with him. I wrote it out. I went back, and I got the job. Here's the problem. It only paid $600 a week. And I had to get a new apartment in New York, which we know is an impossible task. Do I make the move, or do I figure it out and figure it out, make the move and figure it out? Or do I play it safe and wait for the next opportunity to come along? You can't wait for the next opportunity. No way. Playing it safe is never going to get you where you want to be. I ended up supplementing my income by taking catering jobs. I did any job that anyone asked me to do. That was 2006. Code TV became LX TV. LX TV was bought by NBC. And since then, I have launched 3 successful shows that are still on the air. I have hosted several specials, did a cooking show, and I won 6 Emmys, which is pretty great. I've been live on TV every day for the past 11 years. It was not easy, and I wouldn't change a thing. So don't take the easy road. It will never take you to your preferred destination. Something I have learned to be comfortable with is, in fact, getting uncomfortable, doing things that make me uncomfortable, doing live specials that, you know, anything could go wrong at any moment, filling in for Natalie Morales on the Today Show for a week, never having done live TV, which now I think that was kind of crazy. Stepping out of your comfort zone shows you what you are capable of. Your worst enemy is your fear. If I obsessed about the what ifs, I wouldn't have been able to be present to just roll with the punches. You need to be flexible with change and be able to switch gears when necessary. This is how you stay cool under pressure. Be prepared for things to not always go as expected. Have a backup plan. This is true in any field. If you don't like speaking publicly, offer to do a presentation for your team and work through it. It's not going to be easy the first time, but you will get through it and you will get better at it. You have a great idea for your team, but you're too afraid to bring it up because you don't think they're going to like it. You never know until you speak your voice. Make yourself heard. The first rule in improv is to head into every situation with yes and. The whole thing is it's about accepting the challenge with a positive response and making something out of it instead of shutting yourself off. Sometimes it just comes out okay. Sometimes you make magic. But saying yes and in life leads to way more interesting outcomes. When you turn something down because you are leading with fear, you are leaving the door open for someone else. Be flexible, but stand your ground. Speak up for yourself because no one else will. Don't hold the door open for someone else when you deserve the job. Don't take the easy road. Support other women. Get uncomfortable. And starting right now, try to adopt the philosophy of yes and. It has been so lovely speaking with all of you tonight. Be well and be safe. And I'll see you on the other side of this.
Thanks again to Sarah Gore for making time to join us. It is always a fun and challenging task to select our honorees each year. We start with a call for nominations on our website and social media channels, and always receive far more qualified nominees than we can include. This year, for instance, we had nearly 200 submissions. Myself and the other editors on the 914 Inc. staff go through all the nominations carefully, with an eye for several things. We look for women with a compelling track record of success in their careers and who have made a large impact on their organizations, who have an interesting story of how they achieved said successes, who are devoted to helping other women succeed in their lives and careers, and who make time to better their communities as well. We also seek in the group as a whole to find a diverse mix when it comes to age, ethnic background, geographic location within Westchester, and the types of professions and industries they represent. Given the dominance of COVID-19 in Westchester, we decided this year to honor a larger number of women in the healthcare industry than we have in previous years. The efforts of healthcare leaders, while always crucial to the well-being of our residents and the economic security of our business community, were of outsized importance this year, and as such, we wanted to pay special attention to the healthcare sector. We think we've developed a selection process that yields an engaging mix of women who are a great representation of the type of successful women we have working here in Westchester today. And now it is my pleasure to announce our honorees in alphabetical order. Each woman will be receiving a special award box with some great items from our sponsors, and our audience will get a chance to hear from each honoree in a brief video presentation. Our first honoree is Alina Baum, PhD, Senior Staff Scientist, Infectious Diseases, Regeneron. Alina Baum headed up Regeneron's early efforts to develop an investigational drug candidate for the treatment or prevention of COVID-19. Baum has been with Regeneron since 2015 and leads a team of 12 scientists, 10 of whom happen to be women.
By training, I'm a virologist, so I've been studying viruses for a really long time. I'm continuing to do that in Regeneron. We have an infectious disease group where we try to develop therapeutics for infectious diseases, viral pathogens, bacterial pathogens. In January, this big thing happened with SARS-CoV-2. We started working on the COVID program, which we've been working on since January, February, and now we're in clinical trials. My responsibility is to manage a team, and this team is really at the forefront of our drug discovery. So we're in the lab discovering the new therapeutics that go into clinical trials, working with others across the company. So my job is really to bring all of these pieces together to make sure we're doing the best science possible and moving as quickly as possible and doing this together as part of the big Regeneron team. I think the key really to success is taking advantage of opportunities that come your way and really keeping an eye on what you really, really want and going after it. I've tried to keep an open mind and just keep learning, like always listening and always learning and always saying yes to opportunities. That's how I approach my career, business, and life in general.
Our next honoree is Josephine Bertram, Senior Vice President and Chief Corporate Affairs Officer, Heineken USA. Originally from Amsterdam, Josephine Bertram shines in the male-dominated beer industry thanks to her laser focus on executing Heineken's brand mission. In her current role, she manages a team of 8 and oversees communications for the company's core brands, Heineken, Dos Equis, Tecate, Red Stripe, and Amstel Light.
So I worked with Heineken for 6 years, always been background in communications and PR. This year particularly, I'm leading the task force for the COVID for Heineken in the US. So I think that's one of the biggest responsibilities I have ever had, is looking after the health and safety of our employees across the US. There's no playbook for dealing with the global pandemic. So the only way it works is working very closely with a lot of people. I talk to salespeople across the country almost every single day to see how they're doing, how it is on the ground for them. So working very closely with different people, just finding ways together is the only way to do it. I never consider something my success, it's always our success. It's always a partnership, a collaboration. My dad will probably say, work hard, because that's the way to go. There's only one way, is to work really hard in life to get what you want.
Our next honoree is Dr. Mira Garcia, Division Chief of General Obstetrics and Gynecology at New York Presbyterian Hudson Valley Hospital, Regional Director of Women's Health Services at New York Presbyterian Medical Group Hudson Valley, Assistant Professor at Columbia University Vagelos College of Physicians and Surgeons. With her several impressive titles, it is clear that Dr. Mira Garcia is adept at today's most cutting-edge medical treatments, but her focus is equally on preventative health for women. Garcia uses this holistic approach in all facets of her career, which also encompasses teaching, community outreach, and advocating for women's health across the state.
I think I've always wanted to be a doctor. I used to give my stuffed animals injections when I was a kid. I also realized early on that the impact a doctor has in the community, the amount of help they can provide, the guidance they provide for families. So from stuffed animals all the way to seeing the impact on the community, I knew I wanted to be a doctor. And it was in medical school I realized that I wanted to take care of women. I wanted to educate them, I wanted to empower them, I wanted to protect them. The biggest responsibilities I currently face in my job is the need to juggle and to be able to multitask. I usually do that by first of all prioritizing clinical care, and then working towards making sure that we are open to innovation and making sure that we're advocates for patient and advocates for positive change. I think the key to my personal success is knowing that success is a mirage. I'm going to keep working towards it. I can never say I've achieved it, but if along the way I leave a trail of good deeds, healthy women, and empowered communities, then I think I'm doing the right thing. And so to me, I've always wanted to empower, to educate, and to protect. And if I can do that, then I can say maybe at some point I've reached that mirage of success.
Our next honoree is Alicia Grande, CEO and founder of Grande Cosmetics. Starting with one product in 2008, entrepreneur Alicia Grande has grown her Valhalla-based cosmetics company significantly, now offering 40 SKUs, employing 47 people, and inking deals with retail beauty giants like Sephora and Ulta Cosmetics. Sales have continued to grow for Grande even during the pandemic, which has taken its toll on many sectors of the beauty industry.
So I started the company in 2008 with one product and a dream, Grande Lash MD, to enhance women's lashes all over the United States. And now I have over 40 different products and we're sold worldwide. I'm so excited. My key to success is actually being fearless, okay? And understanding that success doesn't happen overnight and having that passion, because when you wake up every day and you love what you do, it's actually not work. So you can just keep going at it and success does happen. My philosophy in life really is to treat others how you want to be treated. I think you need to remain humble and stay to your roots and who you are. That's another reason why I am successful, because I've always treated the people that I work with respect.
Our next honoree is Leanne McMahon, Senior Vice President of Patient Care Services and Chief Nursing Officer, White Plains Hospital. Leanne McMahon worked as a clinical nurse for 15 years, and once she made the decision to move into management, she quickly ascended to the role of Chief Nursing Officer. She now oversees 800 nurses who tend to thousands of patients each year. Earlier this year, when COVID-19 hit, McMahon put her change management skills to work, enacting quick and fluid process improvements to help White Plains Hospital operate effectively during the pandemic.
I actually started as a registered nurse right out of nursing school, and my very first job was at White Plains Hospital 36 years ago. I worked as a staff nurse in various units. The decision to go into management really came from being part of the solutions rather than just looking at the problems and doing nothing about them. I'm responsible for all of the patients at White Plains Hospital, and that is their entire experience, their safety, receiving great care. That's my responsibility. So many lessons learned during COVID. It just came at us from nowhere, and like a tsunami, it was upon us, and you had to respond really quick. The response that White Plains Hospital had was really about that team, and everything that we have built together for years just turned on in a second because it had to. It's all about the team, and the team that I had with me were phenomenal, who rose up and gave 150% every single day. You just have to have that attitude that anything's possible. And then when you achieve it, they believe it, and they become the solution for the future.
Our next honoree is Susan Monaco, Chief Revenue Officer, Caremount Medical. In her 20-year medical finance career at Caremount Medical, Susan Monaco has excelled in roles centered on billing, accounts receivable, and business services. Today, as the medical group's Chief Revenue Officer, Monaco focuses on the financial strategic planning for her organization, which represents 650,000 patients.
So I've been in healthcare billing for over 30 years, and I've actually spent the last 21 years at Caremount Medical. One of the largest responsibilities that I have at Caremount is overseeing the revenue cycle for all of the physicians at the group. It's all changing on a day-to-day basis. One of the biggest challenges is just keeping ahead of those changes, and we've developed a really talented team of people. Also, a key point is maintaining very good relationships with our payer partners and keeping a strong relationship to develop reimbursement models and make sure that we're doing the best that we can to create value for our patients. I think one of the biggest things everybody learned during COVID was how quickly things can change and how quickly you have to react to those changes. It was incredibly inspiring seeing the physicians and the nurses and all the staff really working towards the same goal, which was to keep our patients connected with our physicians. You know, there was a lot of disruption during COVID, but I think there was also a lot of opportunity to take a look at how we did things and revamp certain processes, and I think a lot of that will be here to stay going forward.
Our next honoree is Dr. Karen Murray, Associate Dean of Admissions, New York Medical College School of Medicine, and Assistant Professor of Obstetrics and Gynecology at New York Medical College. A practicing physician, Dr. Karen Murray has also dedicated herself to ensuring that the next generation of doctors is a diverse, talented, and caring group. As Associate Dean of Admissions, Dr. Murray has worked hard to increase the number of underrepresented minority students attending the medical school, increasing that number from 8% to 20% in just the last few years.
I started out as a student at New York Medical College, and after completing medical school, I did my residency at Metropolitan Hospital. And then I moved on to Open Door Family Medical Center, which is in Osman. That's the site that I'm currently working at. One of the biggest responsibilities in my role is putting together a diverse class. A class that's diverse in culture, economics, ethnicity, as well as gender. There are a lot of moving parts that go into that. We have over 12,000 applications every year. And from that, we screen and interview about 1,000 students to fill a class of 211. So it goes from the screening to the interview process to the admissions committee decision and finally putting that class together. As a whole, New York Medical College has a mission towards diversity. And we're one of the first schools to admit African Americans and females into the medical profession. In carrying on that tradition and staying true to our mission, we try to have a class where we have students who are going to succeed, but also who come from different walks of life because they're going to bring something different to each class. So my biggest goal for my career path is to build on the success we had with the most recent incoming class and to continue to increase the diversity in the School of Medicine to hopefully get to 20-25%.
Our next honoree is Sue Norton, Vice President of Global Citizenship, PepsiCo Inc., and Vice President, PepsiCo Foundation. In her 26-year career at PepsiCo, Sue Norton has worked at developing solutions that help communities address the issues of food insecurity, safe water access, and women's economic advancement. In her roles, Norton says she seeks to harness the expertise and passion of PepsiCo's more than 250,000 employees to create positive, enduring change in Westchester and in communities around the world.
I have the coolest job in the company. I have the wonderful privilege of running the PepsiCo Foundation, and so all the international grant making that we do, as well as employee engagement programs that we run around the world. Our foundation's mission is to feed potential in the communities around the world where PepsiCo operates and where our employees live and work. And so we invest in alleviating hunger, managing water and waste responsibly, and supporting women as the champions of nutrition from farm to family. All the communities that we support around the world are very different. So addressing food security in Pakistan needs to be done in a very different way than how it needs to be done in Brazil or right here in our backyard in Westchester. What we try to do is pick the most qualified partner that we can who really understands the unique issues or challenges facing those individual communities. And so the corporation and our foundation work together in that respect to have the greatest collective impact that we can for our communities. I've been open to doing a lot of different things. To me, it's all about not worrying so much about the speed with which you move through your career. It's about making sure that you're loving it every day, really enjoying what you're doing, and that it's helping you grow and contribute.
Our next honoree is Charlotte Osman, CEO of the Mental Health Association of Westchester. Since taking over the CEO spot in 2017, Charlotte Osman has overseen rapid change at the White Plains-based organization. MHA's annual budget has grown from $18 million to almost $30 million in just 3 years, and the agency has nearly doubled its number of clinics and increased its number of satellite locations and school-based programs, expanding the scope of its mental health services.
I was actually a pre-veterinary student, and I found that I was spending more time supporting people who were losing their pets. I enjoy doing direct care. That's what I intended to do. I always kind of got sucked into administrative roles, always trying to go back to direct care. I decided that eventually it was meant to be, and so I just started doing more administrative stuff. In these difficult economic and socioeconomic times, it's making sure that all my staff stay employed and that we're delivering quality services that support people. The pandemic has taught people that everyone is touched by mental health. Nobody is immune to this, and it has brought people together, and it'll make it easier for people to ask for help. I think balance is very important, and I've been lucky to have some people teach me about balance. I do have 4 children at home. I'm a single mom. It's important to me that I take care of myself and my family, and I think that that makes you a better CEO. I think it makes you a better person.
Our next honoree is Betty H. Perkins, Ed.D., founder and CEO, Today's Students, Tomorrow's Teachers. Betty Perkins left the corporate world to pursue a higher calling, and in 1995, she founded Today's Students, Tomorrow's Teachers, a White Plains-based nonprofit organization that runs programs to prepare students of color for careers in teaching. Today, TSTT works with high school students in Westchester, as well as other locations in New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Virginia. Her organization currently has 1,100 students in the pipeline and has produced more than 250 teachers who are working today.
I was a middle school teacher, then got scooped up by corporate America. Woke up one morning and just decided that I needed to do more. It came to me that I wanted to go back into education. I couldn't have selected a better career. The biggest responsibility is to make sure that the students who are in the program, the high school students, the college students, that they achieve their dream. My biggest goal is to be able to give any student anywhere an opportunity to be mentored, to be taken on a journey, to have an opportunity to go to college so that they can be the best they can be.
Our next honoree is Ellen Sledge, founder and CEO, Penny Lick Ice Cream Company. Ellen Sledge started Penny Lick Ice Cream Company, a premium, locally sourced, nut-free ice cream brand, in 2013 in her Hastings-on-Hudson kitchen. Making a small startup work in the competitive food industry has been no easy feat, but Sledge has grown sales by 20% each year since 2015 and now runs a storefront and factory in Hastings. This year, she also added an ice cream delivery service and launched an Ice Cream of the Month club.
I am a pastry chef by training, and I always wanted my own business from maybe the time I was 5. Spent some time deciding the things I like to make most as a pastry chef, and ice cream is where I landed. Penny Lick started small and was small for a long time. So as CEO, I was doing everything. It wasn't just doing payroll, I was often sweeping sprinkles off the floor. It's not hard to pitch in, to roll up your sleeves and do all the things that you need to do to get through a day. The hard stuff comes with management, with building your team, growing your team, and knowing when to take opportunities and when to pass on them. Sometimes handling challenges involves me getting on my phone or a WhatsApp text message to 10 of my closest other business owner friends who are usually not in my same industry, and I bounce ideas off of them. It's always helpful to surround yourself with people who know more than you and people who are not afraid to tell you when you're wrong. My personal key to success is honestly just concentrating on putting one foot in front of the other, taking every challenge one day, one obstacle at a time. If you take problems in small doses, I find that most things are surmountable.
Our next honoree is Julie Switzer, Executive Vice President, Chief Legal Officer, and General Counsel, WMC Health. Combining her expertise as a nurse and her law degree from Columbia University, Julie Switzer has enjoyed a prestigious career practicing law in the health sector. Since joining WMC Health in 2007, Switzer has helped navigate a number of major acquisitions that have brought the organization to its current status, which includes 10 hospitals on 8 campuses, employs some 12,000 people, and generates $2.4 billion in annual revenue.
Some of the biggest responsibilities I have, in addition to being legal counsel to our board of directors and our senior management team, is ensuring that all of the activities of the health system and all of the strategic plans are within the legal parameters and follow all the regulatory guidelines. Hospitals and health systems are very heavily regulated industries. We have to be very careful that we don't go astray of the rules and the laws. You know, I handle the challenges by both myself being up on what is going on legally, but also ensuring that I have a very competent and well-experienced team of lawyers who can handle all of the kinds of matters that come to them without hesitation. I think a real key to my success is my loyalty to the people with whom I work and the loyalty that I think the people who've worked with me and for me through the years have had, and that's shown by the fact that I've had a team of people working with me for many years who've even moved among organizations, which has created an extraordinarily strong legal department wherever we go because we all complement each other well and we all support each other tremendously.
Our next honoree is Louise Weidman, CEO and Chief Nursing Officer, Access Nursing Services. Louise Weidman started Access Nursing Services 35 years ago and has grown it into an available workforce of some 45,000 clinicians. The firm provides nurses and technicians for every care setting, including hospitals, schools, corporations, and long-term care facilities. Weidman's firm has proved crucial this year with the pandemic. She was able to deploy thousands of nurses to hospitals, nursing homes, and testing sites in some of New York's hardest hit areas.
Hi, I'm Louise Weidman. I'm a registered nurse. I'm the owner and founder of Access Nursing Services. We're 35 years old, and we today are the largest female-owned clinical nursing service in the state of New York. My biggest responsibility is to make sure that the hands that we pick to care actually do, because the hands that don't care hurt. One of the keys to handling the pandemic for us was really anticipating. We had already been through 4 major contagions, from the AIDS epidemic to H1N1 to swine flu to Ebola, and now it's COVID time. Global awareness of how it can hit your community is critical when you're a nurse. If you don't see the train coming, you're gonna get hit.
Our next honoree is Stephanie Weston, Vice President, Retail Market Manager, the Westchester Bank. In her 30-plus years in the banking industry, Stephanie Weston has held senior roles at People's United Bank and Bank of New York Mellon, received awards for deposit growth and investments, and been recognized for her community involvement and philanthropic efforts. Since joining the Westchester Bank in 2016, she has continued her goal of banking with a personal approach. Her proven results include double-digit growth over the course of about 18 months, as well as an increase in new referrals for the bank.
I've held various positions at various banks. I joined the Westchester Bank in 2016. It really felt like home. They embraced the same values that I did about community and giving back, and it just was a really good fit for me. As Vice President and Retail Market Manager at the Westchester Bank, I am tasked with the growth of the Westchester Bank, the development of my team, and keeping the retail branches running smoothly, and coaching and developing the team. When COVID-19 hit, bank employees are essential workers. We left work on Friday and everything seemed fine. Sunday evening I got a call from the president and CEO of the bank. He told me I would be working from home, but the branches would remain open. We knew that customers were not going to want to come into the bank, so we really had to put a plan in place on how are we going to tell our customers how they could do their banking business without visiting the branches, how they could do it safely. If they needed to visit the branches, we were there for them, what precautions we had in place. And really, we got through it with teamwork and great communication because we weren't able to see each other or our customers, so you really had to pick up on verbal cues and you had to listen and not do so much of the talking. We got through and we helped our customers, and that's the most important thing.
Our next honoree is Joanne Wright, Vice President, Enterprise Operations and Services, IBM. Starting out at IBM as a trainee buyer in the Personal Computing Division, Joanne Wright is now in charge of initiatives focusing on transforming IBM's operations in real estate, fostering innovation, and supporting a global workforce of thousands. In 2019, Wright earned the Stevie Women in Business Award for Female Executive of the Year, and she has been named to Fortune's list of the most powerful women next gen multiple times.
Well, I've been a transformational leader, really starting off in supply chain side of IBM and our hardware business, and now migrating into really transforming all aspects of our operations in this digital era. Current position has everything, operations for IBM and services. Biggest challenge I think we face right now is really real estate. How do we bring some of our IBM team back into our workplace in a safe and organized way? So we've really been utilizing technology to enable that. I really am an agile leader, so it's all about open collaboration, empowering your team to really have the best opportunity to deliver and be there to remove barriers and help them to be successful. My passion has always been to really build globally diverse and impactful organizations with people who are driven to excel. That's one of the cornerstones, and a big advocate of women in leadership.
Congratulations to all of our honorees so far. This year, we also decided to bestow a special Editor's Award for Transformative Achievement on 3 female senior staffers in County Executive George Latimer's office. Their above and beyond efforts helped to keep county residents safe and informed during the height of the pandemic, when Westchester was the nation's first coronavirus hotspot. It is my pleasure now to award this honor to Joan McDonald, Director of Operations, Catherine Chaffee, Director of Communications, and Emily Saltzman, Deputy Director of Operations. When the pandemic hit Westchester in early March, the County Executive's Office was called upon to do far more than just a 9-to-5 job. Helping to lead the charge were Joan McDonald, Catherine Chaffee, and Emily Saltzman, who worked together to enact an efficient and effective response. In order to approach the needs of the county during the pandemic with systemic precision, these 3 women worked together, but also took individual responsibility for actions and had to trust in one another's abilities. The pace was exhausting, and McDonald, Chaffee, and Saltzman made plenty of personal sacrifices in their efforts to keep the county as safe as possible while fostering calm. The experience, they say, made us see what's truly important, and they noted that they were grateful to be part of a team that could help.
My job entails running the county, which has an approximately $2 billion budget, everything from parks to correctional services to social services, and of course the health department. The biggest responsibility is making sure that the team operates cohesively. The COVID response and how to deal with the pandemic really brought that to the forefront. We were successful because I think we responded to the needs of the community. That was more important than anything else. We were able to pull together as as a team to respond to the needs that we hadn't had to deal with before. There was no playbook, and it was the professionalism of the team and the ability to work together which got us through the last 8 months.
What was important for our team members to understand was everybody was going to have some specific roles but could also be creative in their approach. Our team had to really understand the various issues that were facing the county departments as well as the constituents of the county and how we were going to address them in this unprecedented crisis. Part of the challenge was not just dealing with the needs of the community, but also dealing with a workforce that transitioned very quickly to almost entirely remote work. And how do we meet the challenges during a very scary time? Once it was known that we had community spread in Westchester and started to do a lot of testing, we found that there were many cases of coronavirus. And for the first few weeks, the large percentage of the cases in New York State were in Westchester. So that was frightening. I have children, my family was with me, and that was unnerving. Plus dealing with the experience of getting groceries, paper towel, things like that with 5 people in my house, but also being able to focus on doing work. And work was always, it was 24/7 because things were coming up all the time. So one of the things that we instituted were daily calls, and that enabled us to update one another on what we were working on, and for Joan and I to educate the team about what we were doing, what we were planning. We had somebody at our Emergency Operations Center that was extremely helpful, so we knew what was coming into our EOC, which is sort of the nerve center of a crisis operation. It was a team effort. Everybody performed incredibly well, worked hard, used all their skills, and I think we dealt with this extremely well as a team, and I'm proud of the operations team.
The county executive is very committed, and it is a pillar of his administration that we have a very open and honest dialogue with the public all the time. And so during COVID, that was something that we put in the forefront, but it became a challenge because the systems that we had in place currently, at that time, suddenly they didn't exist. And so we had to change, and I had to try new things, and we had to pivot. Ultimately, we're not in the end yet, but ultimately looking back, I think we did a really fantastic job to get our message out to the public and keep them informed. There are challenges ahead for the county, for sure. There's a good team in place to face those challenges. We're honest about those challenges and what it's going to take to get through them. This is a very resilient county. We are very resilient people. We are resourceful. I'm totally confident that we will look back on this time and we will remember it as being very dark days, but we will be so much stronger for it.
Congratulations once again to all of our 2020 Women in Business honorees. A special thanks to Sarah Gore for joining us as our keynote speaker today. If you'd like to rewatch the broadcast, please head over to our website at www.westchestermagazine.com/womeninbusiness. While you're there, you can also check out the virtual booths and gift bags from our sponsors. Our gold sponsors, the Westchester Bank and White Plains Hospital. Our bronze sponsors, Cabot Creamery, Caremount Medical, the Mental Health Association of Westchester, Regeneron, and Robeson Oil. Event sponsors, California Closets, Liros Point to Point, Professional Women of Westchester, Westchester County Government, Westchester Talk Radio, and Yankwit LLP. Our gift bag sponsor, New York Medical College. Our video sponsor, Enormous Creative. Thank you again for joining us for this year's Women in Business Awards. We look forward to seeing everyone again next year, hopefully in person, on November 18th, 2021. Have a wonderful afternoon, and please stay safe.